It's the Gear Tester here, and welcome to my video on cost-effective cutting tools. I really like being able to get out in the woods and being able to do things like bushcrafting, hiking, backpacking, camping, and I find that the tools that you guys see here in front of me right now, that they help me have a more enjoyable, fun time. So I want to just talk about these different cost-effective cutting tools with you in this video. Every one of these tools can be had for $50 or less. In most cases, less than $30. And I'm just going to go over them here, tell you how much they cost and why I like them. Over here on the far right-hand side of the screen, I have the Baco Laplander folding saw. And I have had this for the better part of a year and a half, maybe a year. I've used it a lot. What I like about it is that this saw locks closed and that it locks in the open position, and that it is about, I would say, $26, I think, is about what you're going to pay for this. Maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, depending on where you look for it. But it can be had for around $25, and it is a good tool. It's very durable. I have used it a lot. I've used it so much that I've worn the name off the blade there. But it locks open, it locks closed, and it is a great tool. It does not come with the little antler beads on it. Those I made and attached to the leather strap that comes on the knife. Let's do a folding blade. This is the Spyderco Persistence. It's one of the most expensive tools out here that you see in front of you. It's got about a 2.5-inch blade. It's a great knife. I've had this one for over 5 years, probably like 5.5 years. I've had to tighten it up a little bit. It has got a great steel in terms of holding its edge, but also a great steel in terms of being able to resharpen it. It's just a great thin profile little knife, one that you could have on you all the time, but one that would very easily fit into a pants pocket as you go out hiking or backpacking or on a canoe trip or something like that. So this is going to cost you around $37. I think it's worth every dollar of that. It is a great knife, one that I continue to use on a regular basis. I think the best bargain, if you look at all the tools here, is this combination right here. This is the Schrade old-timer hatchet knife combo, and it gets sold a lot and is available a lot around the Christmas season because it's a great gift. It's going to cost you around $20, $25 probably, and you get both the knife and the hatchet. I've just been experimenting with a PVC pipe sheath on this one, but you get this, you get the knife and you get this hatchet, and it is a great cutter. I've got a review actually up on this this tool set. I've got a couple of these, but I really like it, and for $25 I think it's the best bargain because you get both the knife and the hatchet. The sheath originally comes in a way that allows you to position the knife here in a sheath and the hatchet here. I found that that was just kind of cumbersome, so I cut it off, and then I've just been experimenting with making some sheaths out of PVC on different knives, and it's just been kind of fun. So I think this probably represents the best bargain. Most bang for your buck. $25 is going to get you both a knife, fixed blade knife, and an excellent hatchet. I really like that. I think the cheapest knife out here is this next one that we're coming up on, and this is the little blue-handled knife here. Promar stainless steel, kind of like a fishing knife. You might come across these at a fishing, kind of like a bait and tackle store. I think this is around $5 or $6. It's stainless steel. I like that. I think it would be good for food prep. If you're going to be in cold conditions, snow, rain, that kind of stuff, cold or wet conditions, I think that the stainless steel is a good bet. It's not going to be as easy to sharpen. It may not hold its edge as well as other knives that I got on the table here, but it's probably the cheapest knife. Comes with a decent sheath, and you know, if you got less than $10 to spend, I think this is a tool that you could use for food prep, for making, carving, making different bushcraft things, or in a survival situation, maybe making something like a bow drill set. I do think that I would limit the amount of batoning I did with this knife. It's not full tang. It's probably got a rat tail tang, a little piece of metal here that's molded in the plastic, so I'm sure with the proper amount of force that you could either break the blade, snap it off, or just break it right out of the handle. So I'd use it carefully, or I wouldn't abuse it. I don't think you'd have to use it carefully, but I wouldn't abuse that knife. The next two knives I want to look at here are some Swiss Army knives. And I've had these, I think I've had these since I was 7 or 8 years old. I actually had 3 of them. One of them must have gotten lost or broken, but they've held up really well. And so I've got 2 different versions here. This is I believe the Swiss Army Climber. Okay, and it's a little bit different than the climbers that they are currently producing. Instead of the screwdriver here, the current climber has a bottle opener on it. My version of the climber's got 2 blades. Okay, 2 blades. It has, and I believe it's the climber. I could be wrong. They have so many models of these things, and they change the models. So I believe that this is the climber. It's got the pair of scissors. It's got, you know, a bottle opener and kind of screwdriver head there, and then helps if you have fingernails. And then it's got the can opener. So you can see those different things. This one's going to cost you, I think, around maybe $25 to $35, depending on where you get it. Okay, the one that I prefer over that is this model, and it's got a few other items. And this is the camper model. And again, this is the older camper model, I believe. So if you purchased a camper model today, it might be slightly different in terms of all the tools it has. But the camper model is from Victorinox, and these are Victorinox's Swiss Army knives. Has the saw, and I find the saw blade, it basically has all the tools that I showed you on that other one, except the saw, and I find the saw very useful to do kind of precision cutting tasks. It also has this awl, okay, for punching in the holes into things. This one has the awl in it too. And they both, at least in these models, although I don't think current models of both these have what they call a parcel hook. And so this is to be used kind of like a carry handle. And you'd have like a big stack of newspapers or a bag that had twine crossed over and tied, and you'd be able to hook onto that, and it would mean that the string wasn't cutting into your hands. So I'd do something like hooking it like this and carrying it like so. Okay, so it's a parcel hook. I'm not sure how useful that is. I've never used it like that over the many years I've owned it, but that's those are the kind of blades and things that you have connected with the Swiss Army knives. Again, you're going to be about $25 to $35 on those. This one, the camper model with the saw, which I think is more useful, is going to be more expensive, more like the $35 price. And if you're lucky, you might be able to find it with the little pouch as an additional accoutrement to that knife. But I've loved those Swiss Army knives. I've used them for years. They're the knives that I've had the longest out of this entire combination of knives. They've lasted my childhood, and they still have many more years of productive service. The next knife I want to look at is kind of in between. It's going to be, depending on your coloration you purchase, it's both so the gray color tends to be right now running around $20, and some of the other colors tend to run up to around $30. However, you're really getting a 2-for-1, and this is the Light My Fire Mora Fire Knife. So the Light My Fire, can't talk, Mora Fire Knife. And so not only are you getting a knife from Mora, a nice stainless steel knife blade, and a better sheath than I think this Promar knife, but you're also getting a little fire steel that comes with it. So for $30, you're basically paying the price for the knife, which is about $15, and you're paying the price for the Light My Fire fire steel. Both these companies are Swedish companies, and so you're able to have both ignition source and a cutting tool. So that's another really good bargain, the 2-for-1. One of the things that I was a little bit suspicious of is that you would lose this very, very quickly. But the way in which it snaps into the handle is actually quite ingenious, and I don't think you're going to lose it. If you were afraid of that, I think you could just wrap one little wrap of duct tape and maybe use this as your backup fire starting tool. But I don't really think that unless a very intentional motion to get that fire steel out, I'm actually impressed with how well it seems to stay on the handle. You can buy replacement ones of these if you use it up or lose it. I think the most expensive knife or cutting tool that I have out here right now is this. This is the Ontario Pilot Survival Knife. I did a review of it like a year and a half ago or so. It is a great knife. You can get them either brand new or maybe in some cases Army surplus. It's going to be around $45 to $50 for this blade, maybe even $55 depending on where you get it from. But it is a nice big thick blade. It comes with two different sheath combinations. One that has this metal protective guard, so if you fall or stumble, the tip doesn't get come through the leather. I prefer that, or one that just does not have that protective guard. I'd pay a couple dollars more and get the one that has the protective guard on it. It's an excellent knife. Got a nice big pummel that you can use kind of to crush things or pound tent stakes in, and has got nice retention. So it's a good knife, the Ontario Pilot Survival Knife. You might notice that your handle shifts or moves a little bit because the leather may shrink, but I don't really think that takes away from the usefulness of the tool. It may take away from its perfection. If you want a tool to be just perfect and never be scratched or broken, well, this maybe is the knife for you. But I've used this for many years. There's another knife that I've had for many years. I think other than the Swiss Army knives, I've had this one for at least 10 or 11 years, and I've been very happy with it. The Fiskars X7 hatchet is a great tool, and I really, you know, if I was just you're gonna give me just one of these tools, and I had to build a shelter and spend a period of time outside, I think probably I would go right here for this tool. The Fiskars X7 hatchets that are made in Finland. If I can find yes. So I don't know if you can see that if my camera will focus, but you can see this one is made in Finland. The models that are made in Finland that are still apparently available in the U.S. I've had this again for a couple years. This version, the X7, is going to cost you around $35. You may not know this, but Fiskars and Gerber are kind of connected companies. One owns the other. And so Gerber has the Gerber Gator hatchets. They've tended to be more expensive than the Fiskars X7. But the Fiskars X7 is either not being produced as much, or the production has stopped and they're just finishing up selling the last of these. And they now have what is called the Fiskars 14-inch hatchet. And it's delineated by not having this orange handle. It has a solid black handle that has kind of some grip serrations in there. So it's going to cost you around $25. And I believe it's not made in Finland. I believe it's made in China. Oh, so if that matters to you, think about that. The $10 more for this one. I like the way this is kind of rubbery or grippy here better than the Fiskars 14-inch hatchet that appears to me to be in current production. But there's a difference in price. This is going to be about $35, and the one with the black handle is going to cost you about $25. So price consideration there. This little knife, I actually purchased this in a little sporting goods and gun store outside of Yosemite National Park many years ago, when I was working inside the park. And it's a great little bushcraft or survival knife, and it's going to cost you around, or a model that would be similar to this, made in Finland. Most of these tools are made outside of the US and are made in different European countries. This little knife is going to cost you around $20, or a similar knife to it. It's got about a 3.5-inch blade, maybe a little bit less than that. Let's see. Yeah, about a 3-inch blade, I would say. And it's a great little knife. Again, the same considerations, because it is not a full-tang knife, because the blade is affixed into the plastic, or the plastic's formed around the blade. This is a knife that I would not do a lot of batoning on, but would be great for doing food and carving and whittling tasks at camp or on a hiking trip. We're going to end here with the Glock field knife, and this is going to cost you around $30, maybe a little bit less than that, maybe more like $27, depending on where you're purchasing it. And again, these prices are going to change. If you're watching this video a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, things will probably be more expensive. But right now, the Glock field knife is going to cost you about $30, and it is a nice big blade. It's thick, and so this is a knife, even though it does not have full tang, even though the handle is affixed into the polymer, or the polymer's poured around the handle. This is a knife that I'd be willing to baton with and use and be a little more rough on. It's got a thicker blade. I have batoned this knife. Again, if you're going to baton a knife, just be careful with it. Don't go after a giant telephone pole sized log. You know, if you're going to baton small pieces of wood to get a fire started, or you're going to baton pieces of wood in order to make something like a bow drill set, make sure that those pieces of wood are realistic in terms of the quality and the thickness and the durability of the knife that you have. So those are a number of what I would consider cost-effective cutting tools that I would recommend to you, my viewers and subscribers. I think they're great. I think they are high value, and I think, you know, you could pair these up. So you could, you know, the Fiskars X7 and this one, you're talking less than about $60 there. Then the J Martini, talking about two great tools. You could put maybe the Light My Fire and Mora fire knife together with this great Bahco Laplander, and you'd have a very good kit. Oftentimes when I go backpacking with friends, I find that if my tools, I take many tools with me, tend to go tool heavy. Most of the time they don't even have a setup where they've invested, you know, we're talking about $60 here. They haven't even invested that much money into cutting tools, and so they tend to end up using mine, which is one reason I have so many of them, because I take extras for people. Because we get out there, they may not want to hike it in the first day of the backpack trip, but then they wouldn't mind having a hatchet, or they wouldn't mind having a knife to do some food prep with, or they wouldn't mind having a knife that they could baton some kindling for our fire. So these are great options. Every one of them I have owned for a relatively good period of time, some of them for a very long time, many years, and I would recommend them to you. I think they are great products. Thank you very much for your views and your subscriptions. If you like this video, I would encourage you to subscribe to my channel, because I have many reviews, many videos out on the topics of shooting, camping, and survival gear. And I think you'll find them useful and helpful too. Thank you very much again for your views and your subscriptions. This is the Gear Tester signing off. It's the Gear Tester here, and welcome to my video on cost-effective cutting tools. I really like being able to get out in the woods and being able to do things like bushcrafting, hiking, backpacking, camping, and I find that the tools that you guys see here in front of me right now, that they help me have a more enjoyable, fun time. So I want to just talk about these different cost-effective cutting tools with you in this video. Every one of these tools can be had for $50 or less. In most cases, less than $30. And I'm just going to go over them here, tell you how much they cost and why I like them. Over here on the far right-hand side of the screen, I have the Bahco Laplander folding saw, and I have had this for the better part of a year and a half, maybe a year. I've used it a lot. What I like about it is that this saw locks closed, and that it locks in the open position, and that it is about, I would say, $26. I think is about what you're going to pay for this, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, depending on where you look for it. But it can be had for around $25, and it is a good tool. It's very durable. I have used it a lot. I've used it so much that I've worn the name off the blade there. But it locks open, it locks closed, and it is a great tool. It does not come with the little antler beads on it. Those I made and attached to the leather strap that comes on the knife. Let's do a folding blade. This is the Spyderco Persistence. It's one